Hello and welcome to Segabit's Swingin' Report Show number 43. This week we have George,
Hello.
myself, and Shigs of Sonic Talk and Segabit's contributor.
Hey, everyone.
So on this week's show, we're going to be talking about the Echo the Dolphins Kickstarter, some iOS titles that are coming out and have come out, as well as the Mickey Mouse Castle of Illusion remake, and the Sega Pluto, as well as some other stuff. But before we get into all of that, let's just go around and talk about what we've been playing over the past few weeks. Let's start with George.
Oh, actually, I've been playing mostly like 95% of my time.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing Far Cry 3. It was one of those when I saw it at E3. It was one of those games where I saw it and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be shitty." It looks like it's just another first-person shooter. Oh, that's boring. And I actually sat down and started playing it. It's a really good game.
Nice.
It's like the other Far Cry's. It's open world, but they really like. I played Far Cry 2 and I didn't like it, so it kind of got boring. They did a lot better this time, and it's like the open world aspect of you could approach missions in different like ways. You can not shoot anybody, just stealth kill, or you could just ride your car in there and try to kill everybody. And they also have like some hunting, like Red Dead Redemption.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty good game. I recommend that game if you want to play a first-person shooter.
Nice.
Are you excited
Oh,
for
and Company Heroes. Oh, and Company Heroes too. But I haven't played enough for me to be talking about it yet. I'm gonna do a preview for the site.
Sweet.
Are you interested in Far Cry Moondragging, the kind of expansion pack sequel thing that's coming out next week?
Blood Dragon.
Yeah, Blood Dragon.
Blood Dragon?
Yeah.
Yeah. I am actually. That's the reason I started playing it. When I was looking at pictures of that, and I was like, oh, I'll try the third one just to see what it's like. And I actually really like it, and I'm really excited for the next one. The only thing that's bumming me out is that people on NeoGAF said that they beat the game in 3 hours. So that's kind of. I have like 10 hours in Far Cry 3 right now, so
Now,
that's pretty short.
Yeah, that is. Are they going to be selling that separately on consoles, or is this just a PC thing?
It's supposed to be on everything like Xbox, PSN, and it's supposed to be $15 at standalone downloadable thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
that's what I've been playing. So, what has Shigs been playing?
yeah. What have you been playing?
I am extremely addicted to Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on the Wii U. I have been playing that. Yeah, it's a little hard to get into at first. I mean, I've been wanting to get into Monster Hunter for a while. I had it on PSP, and I just could not, for the life of me, figure it out for very long. But on the Wii U, with its where it's finally got a camera control on the right analog stick, which before you barely had any camera control at all. Mm-hmm. It's become very addictive. I've put in over 80 hours into it so far.
Oh man.
Yeah.
How about does it still have the annoying thing where when you do a potion, the guy does like a little animation and then he drinks it really slow and then you get hit by animals?
Pretty much, yep, every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to run like way away before you even think about drinking a potion around any of those wild animals. The other thing, of course, is Injustice Gods Among Us. That's a popular one right now. And that one's really good. It's a great... Pardon?
Are you playing that right now?
Yeah, currently. It's a great fighting game. It's one that's a lot less inclusive than, say, the Marvel vs. Capcom ones. It's done by the Mortal Kombat guys. And they've made it fairly easy to do combos in it, and all the specials are fairly easy to do. It's fairly well balanced with most of the characters. There are some overpowered characters, which Aquaman is one, believe it or not. And Deathstroke the Terminator is the other one. He's one of the toughest ones to beat. But
I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised that's not like titled anything. Like when I was hearing about Injustice: Gods Among Us for a long time, and it didn't take me until like the last month to realize what it was about. That it was like, what is it? A DC fighting game.
Yeah, it's from the makers of the last Mortal Kombat game, and it's basically a lot like Mortal Kombat in many ways. You have your own super that's fairly powerful.
Say DC. Huh.
Yeah.
Injustice.
Yeah,
Gods Among Us.
I think Injustice is referring to like in the Justice League animation shows there's like an Injustice League, which is an alternate evil version of the Justice League.
Do they have
And
goatees?
not in this one. Although Superman's the main villain in the game,
Huh.
he ends up turning evil.
Nice. Of course, he has to.
Well, it's
Okay.
it's a Superman from an alternate future in that. So you have to near the
Superman
end you have
Prime.
like Superman fighting Superman.
That's how they explain it.
So
Yeah.
wait, Shigs? Why did you say that you were shocked that Aquaman was overpowered?
Well, I mean, most people see Aquaman as like this wimpy guy who's not into much. You know, I mean, there's always jokes about him being on the Justice League and having to be near water and everything. But the game does a great job of showing you that he's, a pretty total badass.
Have you? Oh, he's been pretty. That is true. He was a shitty character. There's no really good comics of him besides the New 52. When they started the New 52, they turned his character around. Like he's a really good character. I actually pick up the comic books of
I
Aquaman,
think it's based on
and
his 52 character. Yeah, my niece
yeah,
actually reads the Aquaman books.
yeah, and he had a Justice League crossover where his story affected Justice League because it was his brother trying to come back from Atlantis and take over the world or whatever.
Hmm.
And so he had to play like diplomat for both sides. So yeah, it was pretty. I like Aquaman. Overpowered. I don't play fighting games usually that have too much overpowered characters. I think they're not doing a good job if
I
it's
think
not balanced
I
right.
think it's just really only those two. But I mean, as far as everybody else goes, Batman, Green Arrow, Flash, they all pretty balanced ball, having their own specials and everything.
Nice.
There's nobody in the game I don't like to play, which is very rare.
It's true.
Cool. Well, I've been playing. I finally got around to playing Sonic Colors DS since I got my 3DS because I've been playing through all the Rush titles. So I'm near completed with that. I just have a few Chaos Emeralds to get. And it's not bad. It went by really quickly, but at the same time, I'm glad it didn't have a lot of the cheap padding that the other Rush titles did, like playing through a second time as Blaze or doing the map in Sonic Rush Adventure. So, and the trick system, they got rid of that. So I'm kind of glad they did because I was constantly just waiting for, like, when you're playing the old Rush titles, like every single time you're airborne, you're like trick, 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 trick. So not fun. But and I've been playing House the Dead Overkill on iOS. I got a review copy for that, or I guess a code, and we'll talk about that when we get into the site or the Sega news. And I've also been playing what is that called? Alpha Protocol. I got it for $5 at GameStop.
What do you
So
think about it?
it's not bad. I mean, I was on the Sega Bits Twitter, I think earlier that day, bitching about people who, like say, oh, Sega doesn't have any good games, and then they go out and like buy. They say Sega doesn't make any games anymore, and then they go out and buy used, and Sega's not getting the money. But to be fair, I knew Alpha Protocol was a bad game, or at least a poor game, and that it probably is best that I don't support games like that. But I picked it up for $5, and it's not bad. I mean, it's not great, but
Yeah,
You
when you
know what?
come in with low expectations, it's not bad.
It's been very mixed. I know people who actually love that game, and there's other
Hmm.
people that actually loathe it. It's really there's no nowhere in between on that one.
I feel like it's one of those games where like when it's being reviewed new and it has that $60 price tag on it, it's not going to be good. But as time goes on, you might get it for a less price, either new or used. You come in knowing it's not going to be like a earth-shattering game that it's not bad. But like, a game like Aliens Colonial Marines, I don't think we're ever going to hit a point where you get that thing for like $5-10 and you're like, "Hey, it's actually a good game." You know what I mean?
yeah. The thing I didn't like, the little bit of things that bothered me was the dialogue wasn't always really good. Like sometimes it felt like it was written like somebody called it in real quick. Like, all
Yeah.
right, you'll say this real quick, and then the lady will walk away.
Well, you'll feel happy to hear this. When I was in the store, I actually read your review to decide if I was going to buy it or not. I was like, "What does George think?" So,
And
and
and you bought it.
you know why I bought it? You said it had a Sega Saturn in it, and it had a classic Sega startup logo. So, I thought that was worth
That
it.
sold it.
But No, it's not bad. I thought the funniest thing though was that you get in, they like set up the main character and all this shit, and then you go in, and the first thing you can do is customize your character, and you put this big, goofy fucking beard on him. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And it's like, can you imagine if you're playing Shenmue, you go through the big murder sequence, and then it's like your first time playing the game, and it's like, oh, I can customize him, and immediately it's like a giant, like, just like,
Ridiculous fucking beard, like
yeah,
wizard.
ridiculous beard on Ryo Hazuki. So it's like you go from getting kind of into the game, and all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, you can put a sombrero on him, and like, mutton chops and things like that. So
And you're supposed to be a super spy and
I
shit.
know. I put a backwards cap on him, a beard, and like aviators, and he looks like some sort of terrorist or something. I guess it works for him because then he can like blend in or something. But it's kind of goofy in that regard, but it's not bad.
Also, one thing that pissed me off was the way they promoted it, where it's like you'll play in Russia, and like when they tell you stuff like this, you go around the world, you think that like you'll be able to walk the streets at least a few blocks or something.
Hmm.
But no, the game just you're basically in a hotel room, and they're just themed differently.
That's funny.
So, whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, it had potential. It's just I don't think Obsidian is that great of a developer. I think it's one of those like Sega took a gamble, and this is what came out.
Isn't Obsidian? It's kind of like a poor man's BioWare. That's what I've heard.
That's a good assessment.
Yeah.
But
And since I'm a poor man buying $5 games, I think they're perfect for me.
you're perfect. You match made in heaven.
Yeah. So
Um,
I've been surprisingly playing 3 Sega games within the week, which is rare in this day and age, even though 2 of them aren't new titles. So
but the only thing that kind of well, the thing that sucked about the game was that Obsidian delayed that game so much, and it was kind of the same story with Aliens. It's like it was delayed, and crap came out.
yeah, yeah.
Just it's just like the shit got bigger, like they were holding it in, and then
Hmm.
it just shat all over us. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it for playing, I guess, right?
Yeah, let's move on to Sega news. This first bit, it's a Echo the Dolphin Kickstarter, but it's not Echo the Dolphin. Going back, I believe we posted a story on this a while ago where there was news from Ed Annunziata, the Echo the Dolphin creator, that he went to Sega and pitched this idea for a iOS like mobile phone Echo the Dolphin title, and we didn't hear anything about it for a while, and all of a sudden this Kickstarter appeared for this thing called the Big Blue, and so it was pretty clear that Sega told him no. And I know we've talked about this a lot before, but I mean, looking at the Kickstarter as it was, the video and everything, it was really kind of unclear what the whole idea was for it. There were like playing cards. He was trying to raise $665,000, which is an insane amount of money, I think.
And did he ever make the money?
No, with 3 days to go, they only have $53,000 raised, but
Huh.
they have made a update saying that since they will not make the budget, they have a plan B, which means they will be creating something called the Little Blue Stepping Stone, which means they will make a slice of what the whole game will be by telling, and they will be showing, giving more clarity to the gameplay with better prototype, written descriptions and examples, better rewards, and at a finer granularity, as I don't know what that means, and a less ambitious scope, but a fully playable game. And honestly, that's what I think they should have done from the beginning. I'll admit I didn't. I said I was going to give them money, but I looked over the thing. I didn't want to play it. It looked boring.
And I didn't understand this whole card system they
It
had
didn't
going
make
on.
sense, really. Yeah,
Physical, like who's sitting in their house saying, "I want to play a dolphin game and I want to buy cards for it and
yeah,
fucking do all this work just to play it?" And it's like, dude, just release a fucking game that's playable on a PSN or whatever game.
yeah. I mean,
I think
I'm a fan of the series, and I'm a Sega fan, but sometimes you can't just go for anything, especially if it's so. I hope this is the right word, ubiquitous. I don't know. It's just the experience. He talks about the experience, like you'll experience the ocean like never before. Well, how will I experience it? I'm pretty sure an iPhone game won't blow me away.
Exactly.
I'm not going to open it and go, "Holy shit, the ocean!" You
man,
know,
the ocean's fucking awesome. I should probably stop taking a shit in there or pissing
the
when I go to the ocean because it's so awesome.
I mean, the one thing that excited me was that the music was done by the original Echo the Dolphin musician who was I just blanked on his name, but I'm sure you know him, Shigs. He did the Sonic CD soundtrack for America.
Uh, I don't know his name offhand. I can probably Google it right away.
You know, there's like two guys that really like Sonic right now listening to the podcast saying, "It's this guy, you freaking idiots."
Spencer Nilsson, that's it.
Spencer Milson.
And he's teaming with Bear McCreary, or at least this was with the original Kickstarter. I don't know if that's going to go down. And he's the guy that did Walking Dead. I think he's actually doing the Angry Video Game Nerd movie too.
What about the artist that did the covers? Is he going to team up with that guy too?
I think that guy died. No, I don't know.
Did he?
No, I'm just kidding.
Be terrible.
Considering how old those games are, I mean, no, but
Well, the creator that made them isn't dead yet.
no, not yet. Not yet.
It kind of
He's-
reminds me of that whole Freedom Planet thing, a fan game someone's trying to sell as a full, licensed game that's basically based off a Sonic game engine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like you're looking at a Sonic game, then another, like something that, it's like experience Green Hill Zone like never before. And it's like, well, what am I doing? Well, it's not a Sonic game.
And
Okay.
I wonder what the legal issues are with that kind of thing, too.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, to go into some Sonic Talk territory, it reminds me of Ken Penders doing his, Don't Call It Knuckles stories,
Oh, yeah, about his relatives and everything.
Yeah,
And
but
It's sadly, it's looking like that's more and more is actually going to happen.
well, that's great. No one will buy it, so good. But yeah, I mean,
Isn't it? Well, I'm the thing that shocks me the most is all these projects coming out. You know, when Kickstarter and all this started,
mhm.
like all these Sega creators can't get games with Sega, so they always go to another publisher.
Yeah.
And then they're in production for a long time, and they get online kind of like hype.
Mhm.
And when they come out, they kind of really don't do much. Like there was the one that the guy that did Rez did a game with Ubisoft, I think.
Child of Eden, yeah, that thing kind
Child
of
of Eden.
came and went. It was kind of sad. I went to the store, I went to GameStop, and they were giving away posters for pre-orders, and I said, "Hey, I didn't pre-order. Can I have a poster?" And they're like, "Oh, we threw them away last week." I'm like, "Thanks."
I had that on
So-
the PlayStation 3 with the Move and I have a 3D graphics monitor, and that game in 3D is insane. It is a total.
It's a cool game, definitely.
It is.
But like George is saying, like Crimson Dragon, that thing's been in production forever. I think it might be a Summer of Arcade title, but
It's like
I'm
we
not
got
sure.
Sega creators making Sega games that technically aren't Sega games.
Yeah, in fact,
Yeah,
we were
because-
gonna do an article
We got
series called
not
After
Echo, but
Sega.
not Rez.
Yeah,
The
But-
thing that kind of makes me angry though, it's like it kind of feels like buying like off-brand soda. Like, oh, I really want Pepsi.
yeah.
Your mom comes with fucking Shasta from freaking from Walmart. You're like, Ma, this isn't the real Coke.
Yeah, and that kind of relates to our Shenmue 3 roundtable, where it was like if Yu Suzuki were to make the game outside of Sega, you'd be losing all of those Sega influences. You got to even wonder if he would be able to use the like Virtua Fighter mechanics, or if that would be a gray area.
Or use Hang-On in the arcades.
Well, you would not see any Sega game unless. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's definitely like drinking RC Cola when you're asking for a Coke.
We're going to be talking about the Shimu Camp article in a little bit, so
Yeah, definitely.
give out too much.
Oh yeah. Well, let's move on. GDC 2013, Sonic the Hedgehog remastered, releasing to iOS and Android in spring 2013. In fact, it was supposed to be in April, according to one site, Android Police. And from my calendar, April ends in 5 or 6 days. So, how about that?
It's weird. Sega doesn't really hype their digital titles that much. It's like, oh, they're out tomorrow.
Mhm.
It's like,
I got-
Well, that's true of pretty much everyone who puts out digital stuff. That's not like PSN or Live. Anything that's on iOS, you never know when it's coming out till it comes out. Really.
And you got to wonder if it's just one of those things where they looked at they did some research, and they found that you're basically wasting money if you're doing commercials for iOS titles.
So I make it. I mean, but hyping it on Twitter and showing little things like I think if the House of we'll talk about the House of the Dead little like cameos, but there's Sega cameos in there, and I thought it would have been pretty cool if like 7 days leading up to the release, they'll
Mhm.
show the little cameos on Twitter or
Yeah,
on the
that would have
Sega
been
blog.
cool.
That would have hyped up Sega fans' interest compared to like not saying anything and just releasing the game.
Or
Mhm.
like they have ads in apps sometimes that you have to like X out to get rid of them. But I
Mhm.
mean, they could easily put in an ad for a upcoming game in a related game. Like say they have, was it the what's the name of that game now?
Sonic Dash.
Sonic Dash. Yeah, let's say if they have a ad for the new Sonic the Hedgehog game in Sonic Dash.
Yeah, they had an ad pop up in Sonic Dash for Afterburner Climax. I
Okay,
saw
yeah,
that.
that's cool.
But in regards to Sonic Remastered, from what we know of it, it's being developed by the Taxman, who's a friend of our Sonic Retro friends, and it's looking to be about equal to what we're seeing with Sonic CD. He's even hinting that there's going to be some bits of fan service that we don't know about yet. It should be noted too that the only footage that has been shared was kind of chopped to bits, so it's got to make you wonder if they were purposefully omitting certain things. We weren't seeing the menu, we weren't seeing the act title screens, we weren't hearing the music. The one thing we did notice was that there's no speed cap, and that the other ones were there's Spin Dash, and that Dr. Eggman, aka Robotnik, his wrecking ball actually rotates now. It doesn't just flicker. So little
Only
things.
Taxman would get me excited again for a release of Sonic 1, a re-release.
I know, right? You feel like you've played that game enough, but I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I was intending to play Sonic 1 a few months ago, and then starting to hear about this, I'm like, no, I'm gonna wait.
It also needs to be released on consoles, like
I
not
think that's
just
coming. Yeah,
because it's like, yeah, it's cool playing on a mobile, but you always want that controller.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
know a
true.
lot of people are platform traditionalists, but Sonic 1 just doesn't feel right to me without Spin Dash, even though that's not the game it's from.
Yeah, I know. I know what you mean. I'll admit too, I've even tried doing the homing attack when I was playing Sonic 2 recently, which is sad. I got so used to even doing the jump dash where you like jump and then you boost forward a little bit. I was jumping and I'd go dash dash dash. I don't know. Sonic games nowadays, it's all about jumping and then tapping the jump button a whole bunch of times.
Pretty much,
Gotta go
yes, that's
fast.
correct.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. I think the iOS one, for all we know, it might release tomorrow. It might release next Monday. It could be anytime soon, especially since, and we should talk about this now. House of the Dead Overkill on iOS and Android was announced the same day as Sonic 1 Remastered was at GDC 2013.
And that's out.
That's out. Yeah, it released today. So um, yeah,
And
and I've been playing it too. It's a fun game. I was surprised the virtual D-pad works really well. A lot better than when you're playing like on your Saturn or something with the controller.
Well, yeah,
nice.
they can
But
make it more loose and nimble.
yeah, and it's when it's
I
smaller too. You're not moving your finger around so much. It's a small area.
I saw a couple of the cameos. I think Julian or whatever how you say his name, I don't even know. The Sega of America community manager.
Hmm.
He posted on Twitter that like instead of having just the first person view mode and you're shooting zombies,
Hmm.
they put the Shinobi pixel hands from Shinobi 1, the mini game, I think, the one where you
Yep.
throw the. So instead of shooting it, it's his hands,
Yep. And
and
they
then I
also
guess he
have
posted
Vector Man.
Vector Man. Yeah, he
Yeah,
posted Vector Man.
which is pretty
Oh,
cool because
sweet.
people were asking for him in All Stars.
But any other cameos that we don't know that you've seen?
Not yet, but the game's always, I'm sure it's always open to, updating and adding new things. The one downside is that the game's advertised as having three, I guess, worlds or stories. I know in the original Wii game, I think there were six, and the PlayStation 3 version added one. And this version has the first two from the Wii version and the one from the PlayStation 3 version, but you have to buy the PlayStation 3 exclusive level for $199, which
How much is the game?
the game's $5, so that's $7 for the full game, which is a bit much.
Yeah,
It is a
Uh,
lot.
for
I
an
mean,
iOS
it's
game, that's pretty pricey.
yeah. I mean, coming from me, I said I got a free download from Sega for the review. So for me, it would be just $2. But I definitely think I should factor in the fact that it's a $7 game in total.
Well, review the base package, and you could put in it's like the next. It's like you don't need to play the $2 expansion level. I mean,
You don't have to, no.
it's to know that it's not worth $7. I mean, you think it's worth $7? Like if you didn't have to buy it, and it's like $7 for this 3 levels.
Uh, it's hard to say. I can see the replay value with the special weapons and everything. I played through the first story so far. It took me about a half hour to get through it. And so I'm moving on to the second one now. And I mean, it's fun. If I'm enjoying it, I'm definitely going to want to move on to the third stage. And hopefully they'll add all of them so you can play the game all the way through.
But they're gonna add them for a price. Like
Yeah,
that'd be
that's the
kind of lame.
problem. Hopefully they'll be like, Merry Christmas, here's the, I don't know. But another nice thing, it's a really small file size, and it's about a fourth of the size of compared to Sonic 4 Episode 2, and it's only 99 megabytes. And I think the reason is because there's not any voice acting in it.
Oh, they took off all the F words.
There are F words, but you have to read them. They're during the cutscenes, which are static with drawings. So
there's no dialogue during the game, right?
no dialogue.
So it's a gimped version of the PlayStation and Wii version.
Pretty much, it's like it kind of reminds me of Space Channel 5 on the Game Boy Advance, where you would watch the cutscenes and like the text would come up, but the gameplay was pretty much the same. So
Okay.
So I mean, it's a give and take. It's like you get all the gameplay. It's a lot of fun, but it's kind of like a truncated version. It's missing stuff. So this is not. If you've never played Overkill, you should definitely get a console version if you really want to experience the game, because a lot of the fun of the characters' dialogue is missing. But that's my take.
Yeah, it's not as fun without without that corny dialogue included.
That's true, yeah. But yeah, so review forthcoming. And next thing we got is The Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah, for a while we knew about this. We thought it was going to be a just straight up backbone port where it would just be, the original ROM probably packaged. But as time went on, we were seeing that the game had brand new cover art, and just, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago, we saw screens for it in a trailer, and it's actually full on 3D. So what do you guys think?
I think it looks
beautiful.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah?
I think it looks good. I'm hoping that I've already known for a while that Disney is wanting to bring back their mascot and make them big again.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess Epic Mickey wasn't doing it for them, so hopefully this works and a lot of people buy it. It seems a lot of people are excited, but you never know.
Yeah.
That's one of 2 Disney games coming out on PSN and live this summer.
Yeah, that's right.
Got DuckTales too.
Interesting too.
That
DuckTales
had
has...
a lot of.
Oh, go on.
I was gonna say that had a lot of excitement for it when I saw it at WonderCon. There was a line that took an hour long just to play it.
Oh, wow.
So I imagine something similar is going to happen with Castle of Illusion, because a lot of people have good memories of that one.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting too. It looks like Castle of Illusion has a larger budget behind it, at least graphically. I don't know. Maybe it takes just the same amount of money to make little flat sprites for the DuckTales one, but
well, on the DuckTales one, those sprites are being hand animated, and that costs just as much almost as being computer animated.
True. But that's cool. I mean, these are the types of licensed games that I want to see from Sega. I don't want, you know what I mean? It's looks like it's internally developed, unfortunately, by a studio that's closing down this year, which we'll get to. I believe it's in our news here. Yes, it is. But Sega Studios Australia. So
they're developing it?
Yeah, they developed it.
It's I guess their swan song. It's their final one.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good compared to Stormrise and stuff. So
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. But and they said too that this game's going to incorporate. They're working with the original designer for the game. I forgot his name, but and they're looking to incorporate ideas that they couldn't incorporate the first time. And some people have noted too that it looks to borrow ideas from the Game Gear version of the game because you see Mickey standing by 3 doors. And if you remember the Genesis version, you just walked door to door. But in the Game Gear version, you picked which level you would go to next. So, looks cool.
It looks okay. Um, the I don't. So I'm hoping that Disney has more deals with Sega and they bring other stuff.
I want Quackshot.
Would you be okay with Sega doing the Mickey games from now on?
I think they do a decent job. I think I'd actually love to see members of Sonic Team working on something that's not Sonic related, but still a platformer. I think that'd be interesting.
That would be pretty darn cool, yeah.
Sonic Team
something
developed
2D.
Yeah, Sonic Team developed Mickey Mouse game. That would be kind of cool.
Has
Like you said,
has Sonic
Quackshot would be awesome too.
Oh God, yeah.
has Sonic Team ever done a small PSN game? I'm surprised they haven't.
No, I don't. I mean, they've had Sonic 4, but those weren't wholly developed by Sonic Team.
It's like Dimps.
Yeah, Dimp,
Dimp.
Gimps.
Gimp. Gimps. Those goddamn sexual bastards. They put 2 buttholes on tails, dude. I'm telling you.
That's true. They did. That's what. Well, we can't talk about that yet. They're gonna reveal that this summer. So, but yeah. So, anything else on Castle of Illusion, or should we move on to something else Mickey Mouse related, which is
I think that's pretty much it.
All right, the Sega Pluto, not to be confused with Mickey Mouse's dog, was revealed surprisingly enough on what is it, Assembler Games message board. It was looks like it's someone who doesn't frequent online fan forums, and someone told him, "Hey, you should probably share this." And so he said, "Hey, I created an account. I used to work with Sega. I was fired. This thing made its way onto my desk, so I took it home, and it is a prototype console, codename Pluto, which is a Sega Saturn with a Netlink adapter built into it. It looks like a Panini press." So
wait. So he worked there recently, or was this like he worked in during the development of the Saturn?
sounds like during the late 90s. Yeah.
Okay, because it'd be weird if like there's people working around at Sega and they're like, "Hey man, check this out, a prototype. I'm gonna leave it in your desk. I'm gonna walk away."
Yeah, I gotta wonder if Sega could
Yeah, did
even.
they steal it or something?
Well, that's the thing. I gotta wonder if Sega could even claim like, "Hey, you got to return that." I don't know. Maybe not. But
Well, it's a tale of 2 Plutos, because then somebody else got one at a garage sale for $1.
yeah, and he's selling it right now. In fact, I checked earlier today. It had 4 hours left, and the reserve was not met. It was up to $7,600. And
I would keep that money. That's some good money right
I
there.
would take that. I wouldn't go for any reserve, or I'd just give it to the Sonic Retro people, and then we could have a that Simpsons episode with the comic book where they all claimed that they owned a part of it and they traded it, and then
they all want to spend time with it.
yeah, we could do that. We could mail it around, and then it's like I get it for this week. No, but the second one that was found was actually the first model, and the lid was broken. And so I'm thinking of saying to the guy, "Hey man, since the lid's broken, could you knock off like $6,000? I don't like buying damaged stuff." So
You're just gonna go and do a Pawn Stars and go. The best I could do is $20.
I could buy it and then do a Smash My Sega Pluto video where I just smash it on the sidewalk. That would be pretty fun.
Would you really want to
Oh
smash
my
this
God.
rare specimen?
No, I think it would be hilarious. No, but it's a pretty cool. I mean, to be honest, I think that it's an ugly looking console, and it's not
I
the
agree.
most exciting console. I mean, the Netlink adapter, you can use it still if you have a dial up, but it's definitely not something that you like. If I were to have it, I wouldn't be utilizing that portion of it. So if you close your eyes, you're pretty much playing or if you just don't look at the console, you're pretty much playing an American Dreamcast.
You would just be buying it
Or
to say,
Saturn.
"Hey, I have a prototype console here
Yeah.
that actually works." But I
Historically,
mean, no, you're
it's
not going to be
cool.
playing Saturn Bomberman on it anytime soon.
No, yeah, exactly. I historically it's awesome, but I think like fun wise, it's definitely not something I'm ever going to be like, God, I wish I could play the Pluto.
I
So
wish I could have that right now,
yeah, right. Money wise, though, it'd be nice to have. But something we were
especially if you bought it
discussing.
for $1.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, one of the things we were discussing in the forums, which I think would be really interesting to find out, was when was this thing actually built? Because would this be the Model 3? Is this something they were thinking of late in this lifespan, or is this something that maybe America was thinking maybe we could have this be the American console and Japan would have their boxy version?
Yeah, imagine maybe it's like the thing before the Dreamcast because the Dreamcast was like the first built-in modem
Hmm.
console.
Yeah.
Maybe this was an idea they had before, like all the way since the Saturn.
Someone
I don't know. I think the Netlink came out a year or two after the Saturn arrived, didn't it?
That's right. Yeah, someone posted in the forums a link to an article. I want to say 1996 the article was, and the Saturn was what, 95?
95.
Hmm.
So there was a year. So if anything, it might have been either something they were planning internally when the Netlink adapter was still, being worked out, or it's something that came out after the fact of the Netlink adapter. Which is
Or like
why I hope someone who, if anyone who's buying it, I hope they actually open it up because it would be interesting to see if it's like a prototype Netlink adapter too, which would be pretty cool, or if it's just a straight up Netlink adapter sitting inside the box. You know what I mean? Like with the logo and all.
so you're asking them to open up the console?
I wouldn't mind that. Door.
It's already broken.
Yeah,
Might
right.
as well.
Open it up and send us pictures because we're curious.
Yeah, right.
Destroy the worth of your console for us, please.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Maybe if you opened it up and you found out
Well, if it's a tech guy, he could probably easily disassemble and reassemble it again.
no
Yeah,
disassemble.
they unassemble it and it's just like it's all made out of gold.
I'm looking here. It's October 96 that CNET News was reporting on the Netlink adapter launching. It was a $200 web browser.
Yeah, that's a lot. But at the time, compared to buying a PC, that's pretty cheap.
Wow. I love this. I love these old articles. The Netlink plugs into Sega Saturn, a $200 video game player for television. The combined $400 unit becomes a three-in-one device. It allows you to play games against yourself, against others, or simply surf.
I like it.
Wow.
How much is it?
1995 a month for ISP. Man,
That's not that bad either.
that's nice. Oh,
I
what you
mean,
were
we're
saying?
talking about 96 here. We're not talking about Dreamcast era stuff.
Yeah, yeah. They
That's not,
they oh, they note here that it's most homes already have TVs that typically cost around $300 or $400, about a tenth the cost of a PC. So now they're saying like your TV you already own plus your Saturn and Netlink adapter is cheaper than a PC.
yeah, but it's not as good as a PC,
Yeah,
though.
exactly. But
Nowhere near no.
cool piece of history though. Now we only have the Earth and Uranus are the two ones left.
I'm sure Sega has it somewhere. I bet you Sega of America just has it sitting right there on one of the guys' desk,
Yeah,
and the guy's just
probably.
looking at it. He's like, "Why is this on my desk? What is this?"
Coffee holder or something. Yes, some people were speculating that this was all a hoax and that the one guy was revealing his, and then the other guy was like, "I have it too," and then they'd make like $10,000.
Well, I don't think it is. I mean, it doesn't seem like it. It looks like it's working. There's a YouTube video.
That's true, yeah. But I'm just thinking, if you guys ever want to like get together with me and we could like find the Sega Earth.
We'll just how about we just manufacture a fake one,
Yeah, I'd
and
have
we're
one
like,
that
yeah,
was
we
a
found it.
Genesis. Yeah, one that's a Genesis, Sega CD, 32X, and Sega Saturn prototype all in one.
Yeah, it's called the Sega Earth.
Yeah, we'll sell it.
Works for me. Should we move on to some sad news?
What's the sad
Sure.
news?
Rest in peace, Sega Studios Australia, creators of such fine games as Medieval 2, Total War, Stormrise, and London 2012 trademark, the official video game of the Olympic Games.
I love how you're like great games, and then you name two shitty games.
No, I'm sorry. But it's unfortunate people are losing their jobs, but yeah.
I wonder what it feels like for them knowing, working on like Castle Evolution, knowing that's they're going to be their last job and they're not going to,
Maybe it's a
or
good
not
thing.
their
I'm sure
last
they
game.
tell them. I'm sure they didn't tell them right away. They're not like, come here, guys.
Yeah, but I mean, they're still working on it.
Yeah. They probably, I don't know. I would finish my job and say, at least I'm getting paid to work on this.
Yeah.
You know what? I think any of those people are gonna put their best into a game because that just, even if you're getting fired, it makes a resume for your next job.
Oh yeah, exactly. Especially that game, they're gonna be like, oh, that Mickey Mouse game the people bought. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, I did that awesome remake. You know.
Yeah. I
I,
mean, yeah, they did Stormrise was a little shitty, but I mean, we can forgive you.
I gotta wonder. Do you think it's difficult for Sega to operate a studio out of Australia, especially since they are based out of the UK and the US? I mean, they don't have Sega of Australia anymore, from what I gather.
Well,
I still
yeah, they have
remember
all
that
this.
Sega Land that they had in Australia, where they had like Sonic and Tails and Sally puppet shows and what have you. And
Oh man, I wish I could watch a video of that. That looked horrible.
yeah,
Yeah, it probably is hard. You also have to think all the kangaroos that attack everybody there,
That's
like
true.
I would not
accidents.
want to live in Australia anytime.
But
So they
it's
have the worst spiders imaginable.
I'm sure
I just can't stand spiders.
we have some Aussies listening to this right now that will never visit our website again.
That's all right. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
like
fine.
Australians.
Oh
I don't
shit.
drink
Made man. He's an Australian.
I don't drink Australian beer. I don't like Australian women, and I hate kangaroos. So
That's true.
My cousin Spencer spent a lot of time in Australia just last year, and he had a
what do you
great time.
drink?
But he's a bit of a farmer. He's up in Canada usually.
Hmm.
But he's a real adventurous. He's gone skydiving and bungee jumping too.
What does he farm in Canada?
He's with my was I guess he's my second cousin, so it would be the son of my first cousin, and they just farm let's see, honey and wheat and that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
I went there one year, and it's where they got like cutter bees, like bees that don't sting you,
Mm-hmm.
that farm a certain kind of honey. But it was a real interesting experience, just
Hmm.
being there farming.
Now we're
Yeah,
getting
I
off
don't know the
topic.
exact ones, but basically whatever farmers farm, just mostly grains and vegetables and certain honeys.
Okay, because I always thought Canada was cold. I don't know.
Oh no, during the summer they get up to like 80 and so
Okay,
depending.
that's not bad.
what what is this? The weather report?
Now we're talking about the weather, dude.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
yeah, well the day I visited them it was 103 in Los Angeles and it was 80 over there and they thought, "Oh my god, this is the worst heat ever at 80."
Man.
You got to be joking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of Sega Studios Australia, I like their new logo. Remember that one with the ring behind it? That was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, looking at their games, nothing really stood out. Lots of they had a few Creative Assembly games, but Creative Assembly is largely based in the UK right now anyway. So I'm guessing it was just an issue of working so far away from another team. They probably
Yeah.
have to, video conference in all the time. It was probably, I don't know, it might have been an expense too, just to keep a developer going from so far away who really weren't developing any quality titles. I tried London 2012, the non-Sonic version, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like a game I would ever seek out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, do you need? I mean, even the like Connect Sports is a better game than that because I don't know. Sorry, but
I think everybody agrees they were hit and miss, and now they're gone. I guess. Hopefully they get new jobs, but
who
I'm
knows?
sure they'll get a job.
Maybe some of them will move over to. They'll actually pack up and move to Creative Assembly, like their main studio. Never know.
That would work.
But right now, I think Taxman, he's actually Australian, so he's the one Sega-related guy that's doing
From
some.
down under.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, that does it for the Sega news. Unless you guys want to add anything.
I think we're good.
All right.
What does you guys think of the that new Sonic running arcade they're putting in Sega Joyhopolis?
That was pretty funny.
Sonic Athlete.
Yeah, I think it's called Sonic Athletics. That's the name.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a reskin actually of an existing game that they had there. I found out,
Oh
a
yeah.
which
reskin?
was
Did
yeah,
did they do that a lot?
it was it was just a straight up like marathon running game. So I guess they found that if they used one of their existing IPs and applied it to it, then uh, it might get more people. But it looks like the
So,
assets are just from the Mario and Sonic games.
so what is it basically? It's basically a running, I guess a treadmill on a TV screen that kind of grades you.
Yeah, it's like a track and field game. The faster you run, the faster the character runs, and all of the art looks like it's coming from existing games, and all of the graphics look like they're Mario and Sonic stuff,
Oh
from
yeah.
what I can
Hmm.
tell. But it's I think it's kind of funny that some people are pissed off. They're like, "No, we want the next main series title. Quit wasting our time." It's like it kind of harkens back to when we had the soccer game revealed and people were pissed off, and I'm like, "Well, look, they weren't targeting you.
I
You're
don't think they realize that Sega makes arcade games primarily in Japan.
Yeah, that's true enough. And I'm
And they
sure,
make money out of it too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure. I mean, Sega of America is not advertising this stuff, so no need to get angry. And you know what? I'll bet if people actually went over to Japan, they would love to play it. They'd shut up and they'd be like, "Yeah, I really want to play it."
I just like
it
to go
doesn't
to
look that bad.
Sega Joyopolis no matter what.
Oh God, yeah.
They should make a Sonic pissing game too.
Oh, toilet.
Yeah, the toilet game. They
Yeah.
just put Sonic on it.
If I could get that, I would definitely. I do playthroughs on our YouTube channel, and then YouTube would take it down because it would show me. I'll blur
Urinating.
it. I'll blur it out.
Don't blur it out. Everyone wants to see.
Yeah, I guess so. I'll show how to properly hold the controller and everything.
That'll work.
I hate those knockoff ones though.
What do you mean the knockoff
The
ones?
knockoff controllers when you play the toilet.
Oh yeah.
Like the third party ones, they're just not as good as the first party one. I guess that would be the equivalent of calling your friend over and you would have to hold it for
You
him.
hold his. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is not even right.
You're
Look
like,
at.
these third party controllers suck. It's all like misshapen. I can't control it. The
You just
button,
look at him as you're not even circumcised, bro. What's wrong with you? And
dude,
you're
come
like,
on.
Talk about your thumbstick.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, let's move on to site news. Um, we've had a lot of features going up, which I'm sure George is happy about. We've had
I am
Monday,
happy with that.
yeah, Monday Memories Evolution was covered by our very own Ben, and he was talking about the old Evolution series for the Sega Dreamcast, which I believe ended up being on the GameCube, if I'm not
They
mistaken.
did. They did a port.
Yep, but it
It
wasn't.
wasn't. I
Yes.
think it was on PS1, if I remember
No, it's a
or
GameCube game.
PS2. It
It could.
was
Oh, it's a
okay.
GameCube game. I ran into the box art, which was horrible when I was trying to do the. I did the header image for it,
Yeah,
so I had to look up evolution art. But yeah, uh, I don't know even know what to say about the game. I remember playing that game when it was out, and the only reason I got it was because there wasn't any other RPGs out.
hmm
And
It's
it was like
it has really, I think it has great character designs, and there's a really quirky kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. Basically, I think you're a, you used to be rich and now you're poor and you're trying to get your money back or something like that. But it's kind of like not the typical princess and you're a king in the castle and all that shit. The only problem is that the gameplay itself is kind of boring, or at least
yeah,
simplistic. It's a
very
dungeon crawler.
yeah, it's repetitive.
But it was not. It's one of those games though that is not developed by Sega. It was published by Ubisoft in
Yeah,
America and published by Sega in Japan, but it was developed by Sting, which I don't know anything about. So,
it's one of those games that like it either gets its hooks in you or it doesn't. Like
hmm
you find the repetitive stuff very fun.
hmm
It's like Animal Crossing. In the game, you just do the same thing over and over again, but some people get addicted to it, some don't. It's one of those games, I think.
yeah, yeah. There was a sequel too. I don't know. I remember though Dreamcast Magazine wasn't too.
Happy
Uh,
about the sequel?
they weren't too nice with their reviews. I think they gave it maybe 6 or 7 out of 10. which
There
is
was a sequel, and Ben's actually going to do a second part to it with talking about the sequel.
nice.
So this
I think
Monday.
the only reason people have like nostalgic memories for it is that it was the only RPG out at the time. So it's just the RPG you played on the Dreamcast when the Dreamcast first came out.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
I agree, but Ben wanted to do it, man. Don't yell at me. I didn't do that hard.
Let's see. Another Monday memories we had was the Sega Activator, and George wrote this one up. It was a pretty cool one. You were writing about how it paved the way for motion controllers and all that. You want to talk about the Activator?
Yeah, I think it was just mostly like every time I would see an activator like marketing video on the internet, it was always reminding me of how Connect is being shown on the media or the Move is being shown in the media,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I was like, oh, it'd be a pretty cool article, so I put it together,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, I think it got pretty kind of the response I expected actually. Um, Everybody was saying stuff like, "Oh, yeah, I remember having one as a kid and it sucked." I think somebody wrote like a 2 paragraph story about how he
Yeah.
never got to play it and he had to sell it for $10.
I was going to bring that up because he never lived in a place that had the proper ceiling because I guess it couldn't use a certain kind of reflective ceiling or something like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
Well, I
But
think I posted one of the videos where the creator is playing like a Mozart song or something,
that was
and
pretty cool.
yeah, it looked pretty cool. But I'm like thinking to myself, you think that was fake? Like the way Nintendo fakes some of their stuff too now, and like Microsoft also does like pre-rendered videos where people like act like they're playing Connect because the lighting isn't right in the room.
Right, right. I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like it's one of those inventions where the guy who made it is really good at it, and everyone else who tries it, it's like, what the fuck am I doing? You know what I mean?
Yep. Saying how about having the lighting in the room and everything, it reminded me instantly of Connect.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You have to be like 3 to 5 feet away from the TV screen or what have you.
same thing with the activator. You have to be a certain feet away from the screen from the TV.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good idea on paper, but it's not something that translated into sales, and I think it was way too early for what it was trying to do.
Nice. So, I guess we're all buying one for Christmas.
All right.
Yeah,
Play our Street Fighter horribly on it.
that sounds like fun. Let's see. Another feature we had this past few weeks was a roundtable. We're bringing those back, and the first one we talked about Yu Suzuki bringing back Shenmue 3, and this really stemmed from a photo of him. I want to say this at the Games Developer Conference 2013.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was standing there
yeah. It
with
was with Mark Kearney or whatever his name is.
right, who worked on, I believe, Sonic 2, and he is currently the lead architect for PS4.
He's one of the developers that they're working close with. He's been working at Naughty Dogs on most of their games. I think when it did stuff with Crash Bandicoot, he did consulting.
Yeah.
Cool.
And he did consulting with Uncharted and Jack
Okay.
series.
So it's kind of
He's
cool
a
to have
pretty big
somebody
name.
who's done on Crash, Jack, and Sonic all in one.
But
Pretty awesome.
they were kind of just, I mean, they were just there because they're game developers and they posed for a photo, and I think someone was just like, hey, could Shenmue 3 be happening? And everyone just went crazy. So it kind of brought about another surge of people getting excited for it. And we posted our views, and surprisingly enough, the people behind the Shenmue, is it 50,000 Twitter campaign,
Yeah,
picked up on it, and
500,000.
they were relatively nice. I mean, they weren't calling us any names or anything, but they were saying that we didn't understand their message, which I'll be honest, I don't understand it because they don't do a good job at getting it across. It's not like they have a website that they direct you to, and if they do, they haven't done a good job. But I love Shenmue, I love the series. I'm nothing against it. It's just one of those things where you see these really passionate fans and you really feel for them, but at the same time, it's like I don't exactly get what you're saying. Give you the Shenmue license, like completely give it up. I don't understand. And they are saying that it's mainly a like symbolic thing. I guess they don't really seem to want him to have complete ownership of the license.
So they're pretty much saying something and then flip flopping now. But yeah.
I guess I mean I guess they're saying that it's not so much about that, but it's about the idea of that. Like if Sega's not going to do it, let him do it. But my argument was that if Sega's not going to do it, how is he going to do it? Because
Exactly.
it's a Sega game. But if you give him the license, what's he going to do? Is he going to go to another major developer and say, make this game? And what are they going to say? Well, it didn't sell well for Sega. It cost millions of dollars. Um, and then if it did sell, Sega would be kicking themselves for giving him the license because they would have been losing out on all this money. And then like going back to what we were saying, it wouldn't be a Shenmue game because it would be lacking so much that makes it special. Like, would it have the same musicians behind it, voice actors? Anyway, what are your thoughts?
I
I
already
would
told my
just,
thoughts on the thing.
Yeah,
Shig should probably say it.
yeah,
So,
go ahead.
I think the best thing that they could do is just put in HD, PSN collection or whatever. Just port it over there. See how 1 and 2 do. See if there's demand for them now, and if there isn't, don't bother.
I
I mean,
agree.
just because you want just because there's a lot of fans that want something doesn't mean it's going to be successful.
Yeah, yeah.
For a
Um,
business perspective, that's win-win right there.
yeah, and who knows? That might be one of the things they have planned. I know last year they were being coy about Shenmue and Skies of Arcadia being the next titles, and I know
And they
that
have a figurine too coming out.
exactly they've had the clothing line, and they have a statue that was just recently teased. So who knows? Maybe Vice and Rio are those characters that they're slowly like introducing again via All Stars and via merchandise, and then we're going to see the games come back, at least the HD ports of the originals. I think it's going to happen eventually, definitely in terms of getting 1 and 2 in HD. But like Shigs was saying, like once those are out there, if people buy them and it's a big success, then maybe make a third one. But yeah, it's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, just porting those would be more of a low risk, high reward than going straight into a Shenmue 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then having it be a disaster.
Mm-hmm. And maybe they could go with the Bayonetta 2 route where they make it an exclusive. I know the big deal was with Xbox that Shenmue 2 was going to be an Xbox exclusive, which meant a lot of people thought, well, then Microsoft's going to put a lot of money behind Shenmue 3. It's going to be like co-developed, and it never happened, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, we've said so much about Shenmue 3 over the past how many years?
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months.
Yeah, it's true. Especially 6 months though. We've been talking
Oh.
about it more lately.
Do you remember the time when you made that transition from being like, yeah, of course they're going to make a third one, to, God, I don't think it's going to happen?
I I think I don't know. I don't know if I remember that. I have a terrible memory. I have all my brain cells are dead already.
I feel like,
Uh,
oh, go on.
uh, I think it probably happened when it started getting delayed, and then like they said Microsoft was going to publish it. I kind of figured like when 2 didn't do well, like oh that's it, third one's not happening.
Hmm.
And especially with the financial situation they were in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Do you remember Shigs?
Yeah. It's just like what was it? The Shenmue 2 never even came out to the American Dreamcast. It was just Europe.
Hmm.
And then even on Xbox, I don't think it did that well.
Yeah, I remember there, like in my mind, it was like, well, there's probably a 2 year wait between each one, and I think 2 years after the Xbox One came out, I was like, God, we're not seeing anything. And then they started talking about Shenmue Online, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is like Shenmue 3. And then it wasn't, and then it was delayed forever. And I think by about 2005, I just gave up.
You waited in long.
Yeah, and man, that Shenmue Online, that is some weird stuff. I completely forget about that game sometimes, and I look it up, and there's like gameplay footage out there, like it exists, but
Yeah, it's
it's
China only.
weird. It's yeah, and it takes place, I think, in China during Shenmue 2, but like you don't play Rio, but he's there, and there's like magic
It's
powers
weird.
on rooftops. Do you remember that? He does like a Kamehameha.
Yeah.
No, it's just a
Makes sense.
Chinese-owned MMO or Korean one, because there's like a billion Korean MMOs, so it might be one of
Might be a
those.
Korean MMO, I don't know. Chinese developed, maybe.
Yeah, I know there's a Chinese develop developers doing a Monster Hunter online, and I'm really excited for that. But I'd have to upgrade my computer seriously to even think about playing that one.
Oh man, you're so addicted to Monster Hunter. I can just tell.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're more excited to play another Monster Hunter or Fantasy Star Online too?
I would actually like to just get Phantasy Star Online. Period. Online too. Pardon me. To get it out here in the West already,
I agree with that.
That'd be
because then it
nice.
gets
Taking forever.
announced, then it gets delayed, and it's just taking forever.
It's already a
Someday.
bad time.
That seems to be the norm right now. Nothing new, just a bunch of things delayed.
So what's the next topic? We talked too much
Next,
about shows.
right, site news. We've published our third and final contest winner. It was the second and first place winners of the Segabits third anniversary contest. We had a Zombies Ate My Neighbors review by Nicholas, I believe it was by, and a Mega Drive Master System Converter video review from Tracker. So they were our winners, and I think they did a great job. AJ liked them, and he was the guy who kind of put all the prizes out there and kind of led the contest. So he kind of had final say, but a lot of us pretty much agreed on the winners. So have you
Yeah.
guys?
Do you remember Zombies Ate My Neighbors?
Vaguely, I remember it on the Super Nintendo.
Actually, me
LucasArts.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember going to the KB store and I could only get a cheap game.
Mm-hmm,
So it ended up being that one because it was like discounted a lot.
mm-hmm.
And I had my reservations. I thought the cover was terrible for that time.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't look fun. It was just like this like woman being scared. And it's like
Night
olden
Trap.
days.
Oh God,
Yeah.
the box art back in the 16-bit, 8-bit era was pretty horrible.
It's funny though, looking at it now, it's kind of a cool cover, but back then it was pretty stupid.
Well, especially when you're a kid, you gotta put some colorful like it didn't even look like the actual game when you played it. Like the
Oh,
game
that's
was like
true.
actually cartoonish.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And everyone remember what was it, the Bust a Move 2 cover, where it was just some guy with his eyeballs pried open with toothpicks.
I own that. Yeah, I
Sweet
bought that
balls on there.
recently. It's a good game, but it's a horrible cover. Bust a Move is like it's one of those. It has the worst covers, but it's like one of the best puzzle games. So go figure. But yeah, so he didn't give a score, Nicholas, who reviewed it. I believe in his original review he gave it an infinity symbol, but I was too lazy to create that, and I also thought it would go against our review system to give an
That's
infinity symbol. So I just left it unreviewed, and he said he recommended it. So good job to him. We also had the Mega Drive Master System converter. Did you guys ever? It was called Power Base Converter over here. Did you ever own that or play that?
no.
Yeah, I
The
did.
only reason I knew it existed was I think if you subscribed to Sega Vision, they would give it to you for free.
Oh, damn! Really?
Yeah. So I don't know. I never had it, so I don't even know how it works. So there you go. That's my
It was
take on it.
it was a pretty easy conversion. You just slapped it right on top of a Genesis. So I think you had to, if I remember correctly, you had to remove it though anytime you wanted to play regular Genesis games.
Really? I
Oh
thought you
yeah.
could have kept it in. Huh. Oh well.
But one thing I liked about it is the first time I ever played Master System games, and I was a NES guy at the time. I'm like, wow, these looked way better than the NES in comparison
Oh yeah.
as far as graphics go. Yeah,
And it's surprising too how accessible the Master System is because you have the Power Base converter for the Genesis, you have the Gear Master Gear converter for the Game Gear. So really, Master System's not that prevalent in the United States, but you can get some converters for a pretty good price and play all these games. So
yeah. It's funny you don't see any like Master System ROM. Well, not ROM DOS, but you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah.
Like TSM games from back in that era.
Yeah, it's a shame. And I remember too, you remember when Cinemasker, the angry video game nerd, James did the what was it, the Super Nintendo versus the Sega Genesis? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Well, that's the one that you were outraged about, huh?
well, we were bitching about how he gave the backwards compatibility prize to the Super Nintendo because he was claiming that like it can play Game Boy games, right?
Yeah, with the pocket. What was it called?
Yeah, the
The Super Game Boy Color or whatever.
right.
The
Yeah.
Super Game Boy.
But then he also said that it can play NES games, but with a third-party piece of equipment that I don't even think came out at the same time as the.
No, it did not.
So, and that's what pissed me off because it's like saying, you know, obviously all of this all these crazy mods and things can exist years later, but we're talking about at the time. Like at the time, did a Super Nintendo play um, Nintendo games, NES games? No. Did playing Game Boy games on the big screen, was that really fun? No. But playing the entire Master System library, both by cartridge and card, was pretty awesome. And I don't even know if he mentioned that. So that annoyed me. But at the same time, the guy's a Nintendo fan, so I can't blame him. It's not like he'd know Sega history as well as Nintendo
We
history.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like him. I like James and his stuff. So I don't hate him in any way. It was just one of those kind of like if I was there, I would have argued with him.
You would have yelled at him.
Yeah, I would have.
It would have been a yelling contest.
Yeah, yeah.
It surprises me how loose Sega is there with their licensing of the Genesis hardware. I mean, at Toys R Us right now, you can get like a Sega Genesis that has like 50 built-in games and can still do a cartridge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it just comes from some small third-party developer, but Sega just gives them the go-ahead if they give them enough for it.
Yeah, and very few of them, if any of them, are good.
That's true. They always have like a sound chip missing, so
Yeah, yeah.
Sonic games sound really weird on them.
The Sega Nomad is the only time I've ever played something that's not a Genesis, playing a Genesis game with perfect sound, not image quality, but definitely sound.
Speaking of Sonic sounds, have you ever been like at a gas station or something and
Yes.
did a purchase
The
and you had
Shell
the Sonic
stations.
ring effect? Yep. A
Shell stations
76
do it.
I was at the other day.
Why?
I was getting some gas and it was like ding. It's like, why is that in there? It's weird.
You should
It's
ask.
cool. It's awesome, but it's
I think it's like a
weird
stock
at the same time.
ring
Yeah.
they have.
You should say, "Can I add that to my collection?"
You want to sell it on eBay or something?
How much for
Like
the register, your Sonic register, sir?
You scream at them, you're almost at the bonus level.
Oh, did you lose a ring or did you collect one? They'd be, yeah. No, I wouldn't do that at a gas station. I'm cool. But, do we have
Your
any
wife's
Twitter
like,
questions?
no, Barry, stop. Don't
Yeah.
even do it. I can see it already.
Do we have any Twitter questions this week, George?
We do have a few, but they were mostly for they were mostly not for us, and our guest this week dropped out. So I think we already have an hour of the show. I think we could wrap it up if you want.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps things up. Hopefully, next show we're gonna have some new game announcements. I definitely feel like it's that kind of time of the month.
Time.
Not you know what I'm talking about, but for games.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you guys have any closing statements? You want to plug Sonic Talk?
Yeah, actually, I have a good plug for that. Next week, we'll be interviewing Ian Flynn, head Sonic comic writer,
Cool.
who's been writing the Sonic comics since issue 160, like 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And if you
be on this one,
any readers or fans who have any questions, just send them into our forums, or I'll create a post tonight to put up on the website, and you could just put questions there. Just let me know if you want your name read off or not. So what we're basically doing is the podcast itself is going to be pretty much all fan questions.
Cool. Very cool.
that's it for today.
All right. Well, let's say our goodbyes. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Adios.